I can help with that. Here is a 500-word introduction, written in an uplifting, affirmation-centered style, inspired by classic New Thought teachings, without mentioning any specific author. The words "I have" carry a power far greater than most people realize. They are not merely words spoken in passing. They are declarations of possession, statements of faith, and signals sent into the unseen realm of possibility. Every time you say, "I have peace," "I have strength," "I have wisdom," or "I have abundance," you are turning your attention away from lack and placing it firmly upon supply. You are no longer identifying with what is missing. You are identifying with what already belongs to you. Many people spend their lives saying, "I don't have enough," "I don't have opportunities," "I don't have support," or "I don't have what it takes." Without realizing it, they give energy to limitation. They magnify absence until it becomes the dominant picture in their minds. The law of attention is always at work. Whatever receives your focus grows in importance and influence. When your words constantly acknowledge lack, your mind becomes trained to search for evidence of lack. But when you begin to say, "I have," a new door opens, a new image is formed, a new expectation is born. The phrase "I have" creates a feeling of ownership. It moves the mind from wishing to receiving. It changes the inner atmosphere from uncertainty to confidence. Even before a visible result appears, the declaration itself begins to transform your consciousness. It plants seeds of expectation deep within the heart. Those seeds grow into belief, and belief shapes the direction of your actions, your decisions, and your experiences. Think about the difference between saying, "I want success," and saying, "I have the ability to succeed." One statement emphasizes distance. The other emphasizes possession. One keeps the goal far away. The other brings it into the present moment. The words "I have" remind you that many of the qualities needed for a fulfilled life are already within you. You have creativity. You have intelligence. You have courage. You have the power to choose new thoughts. You have the ability to change your direction. You have access to possibilities that may not yet be visible to the physical eye. Every great transformation begins with a shift in awareness. Before circumstances change, thoughts change. Before results appear, beliefs are established. Before victories are celebrated, declarations are made. The words "I have" help create that inner foundation. They teach the mind to expect good instead of fearing loss. They encourage gratitude instead of complaint. They awaken confidence instead of doubt. As you listen today, consider the statements you make about your life each day. Notice the words that follow the phrase, "I have." Those words reveal what you are accepting, what you are expecting, and what you are empowering. When you consciously choose uplifting declarations, you begin to align yourself with greater possibilities. You begin to recognize that true power is not found in what the world says you possess, but in what you confidently claim within yourself. Most people move through life focusing on what they do not have. They think about the money they wish they had, the opportunities they wish would appear, the relationships they wish were different, or the circumstances they hope will someday improve. This habit seems harmless, but it has a profound effect on the mind. Whatever receives your attention gains power in your experience. When you continually think and speak about what is missing, you become more aware of the absence than of the possibilities surrounding you. The mind begins to accept lack as a permanent condition rather than a temporary appearance. The simple phrase, "I have," changes this entire pattern. It redirects your attention away from deficiency and toward abundance. It teaches you to recognize what is already present instead of becoming consumed by what seems absent. The moment you say, "I have strength," your focus moves from weakness to power. When you say, "I have wisdom," your attention shifts from confusion to guidance. When you say, "I have opportunities," your mind begins searching for openings rather than obstacles. Many people wait for visible proof before they make positive declarations. They believe they must first see abundance before they can speak of abundance. Yet the mind responds to the pictures and statements it repeatedly receives. If you continually declare limitation, you strengthen the image of limitation. If you continually declare supply, possibility, and blessing, you strengthen those images instead. The phrase "I have" creates an inner atmosphere that welcomes expansion. Consider how differently a person approaches life when they say, "I have resources available to me," rather than, "I never have enough." One statement closes the mind, the other opens it. One creates discouragement, the other creates expectation. The external circumstances may appear identical at first, but the internal response becomes completely different. A mind filled with expectation notices ideas, solutions, and opportunities that a discouraged mind often overlooks. Abundance is not only about money. True abundance includes peace of mind, health, creativity, confidence, joy, wisdom, love, and purpose. Many individuals possess these treasures yet fail to recognize them because their attention remains fixed on one area of lack. They overlook countless blessings because they are measuring their lives against what they think is missing. The practice of saying, "I have," encourages a broader awareness. It reminds you to acknowledge every gift, every talent, every opportunity, and every resource already present in your life. When you begin each day with statements such as, "I have peace, I have guidance, I have favor, and I have the ability to succeed," you train your mind to operate from a place of fullness rather than emptiness. These declarations influence your emotional state. They affect the choices you make and the confidence with which you make them. People who feel supported by life often act differently from those who feel deprived. They take more initiative, recognize more opportunities, and remain more open to positive outcomes. The phrase "I have" also strengthens gratitude. Gratitude naturally follows recognition. You cannot appreciate what you refuse to acknowledge. The more you become aware of what you already possess, the more thankful you become. Gratitude lifts your perspective above fear and frustration. It helps you see value where you once saw only lack. It reveals possibilities where you once saw limitations. This shift does not require pretending that challenges do not exist. It simply means refusing to allow challenges to become the center of your attention. Instead of giving all your energy to problems, you begin giving energy to resources, solutions, strengths, and blessings. You start recognizing that there is more working for you than against you. You discover abilities you had forgotten, opportunities you had overlooked, and sources of support you had underestimated. Every declaration of "I have" becomes a reminder that life contains more abundance than lack, more possibilities than limitations, and more resources than appearances may suggest. The mind gradually learns to expect good, to recognize good, and to align itself with good through consistent awareness of what is already present and available. Every word you speak carries creative influence. Words are far more than sounds that disappear into the air. They are expressions of thought, belief, and expectation. The language you use each day reveals what you accept as true about yourself and your life. Whether you realize it or not, your words are constantly building mental images. Those images become the blueprint from which attitudes, decisions, habits, and experiences are formed. Many people underestimate the power of their everyday conversations. They casually say things such as, "I never get lucky," "Nothing ever works out for me," "I always struggle," or "I can't do it." These statements may seem insignificant in the moment, but repeated words have a cumulative effect. The mind listens to what you repeatedly declare. Over time, negative statements can become accepted beliefs, and accepted beliefs often influence behavior. A person who continually speaks of failure may begin to expect failure. A person who constantly speaks of limitation may stop looking for possibilities. Words are like instructions given to the subconscious mind. The subconscious does not spend its time arguing with every statement you make. It absorbs repetition and responds to dominant impressions. When certain phrases are repeated again and again, they begin to shape the way you view yourself and the world around you. This is why people often find evidence that supports their most frequent declarations. Their words influence what they notice, what they expect, and how they respond to circumstances. Imagine an architect preparing to build a house. Before a single brick is laid, a blueprint is created. Every detail begins as a design. In much the same way, your words help create the mental blueprint for your life. The conditions you experience are often preceded by the thoughts and declarations you consistently entertain. When you speak with confidence, expectation, and faith, you are designing a different mental structure than when you speak with fear, doubt, and discouragement. The phrase, I have, is especially powerful because it implies possession and acceptance. When you say, I have wisdom, you create a blueprint of guidance rather than confusion. When you say, I have strength, you reinforce an image of capability rather than weakness. When you say, I have opportunities, you train your mind to anticipate possibilities instead of obstacles. These statements influence how you perceive situations and how you respond to challenges. The words you choose also affect your emotions. Language and feeling are closely connected. Negative speech often generates discouragement, frustration, and anxiety. Positive declarations create feelings of confidence, gratitude, and hope. Since emotions influence actions, your words indirectly affect the choices you make every day. A hopeful person tends to act differently from a hopeless person. A confident person approaches opportunities differently than someone who expects disappointment. Many successful individuals understand this principle intuitively. They guard their speech carefully because they know words influence mindset. They refuse to make permanent declarations about temporary difficulties. Instead of saying, I am defeated, they say, I am learning. Instead of saying, I have no options, they say, I have solutions appearing. Their language keeps the door open for growth and progress. This does not mean ignoring reality or pretending that challenges do not exist. It means choosing words that support the outcome you desire, rather than strengthening the condition you wish to overcome. There is a significant difference between acknowledging a challenge and identifying with it. When you constantly repeat negative descriptions of your situation, you reinforce that picture in your mind. When you speak about possibilities, strengths, and solutions, you begin creating a different picture. Every day you are writing instructions upon your consciousness through the words you speak. Every conversation becomes an opportunity to strengthen either limitation or possibility. Every declaration contributes to the blueprint that shapes your expectations. The mind naturally moves in the direction of its dominant images, and those images are often created and reinforced through language. The words I have help establish a foundation of confidence, abundance, and belief, allowing the mind to construct a vision centered on potential, growth, and achievement rather than scarcity, fear, and doubt. One of the greatest shifts a person can make is moving from a mindset of chasing to a mindset of receiving. Many people spend their lives focusing entirely on what they want, what they need, and what they hope will come someday. While desire can be a powerful force, there is a difference between constantly longing for something and confidently expecting it. The phrase, I have, helps create that difference. It transforms your relationship with your desires by replacing feelings of distance with feelings of possession. It opens the door to receiving more because it changes your inner attitude toward abundance. When people constantly speak from a place of lack, they often reinforce the idea that their goals are far away. Statements such as, I wish I had more money, I hope things get better, or maybe one day I will be successful can unintentionally create a sense of separation between the individual and the desired outcome. The mind begins to view success, prosperity, peace, or happiness as something existing somewhere in the future rather than something that can begin unfolding now. The declaration, I have, creates a different mental atmosphere. It acknowledges the presence of good, even before it has fully manifested in visible form. When you say, I have opportunities, your attention shifts toward possibility. When you say, I have favor, your mind becomes more receptive to positive outcomes. When you say, I have abundance flowing into my life, you begin to think, feel, and act in harmony with abundance rather than scarcity. Receiving begins with recognition. It is difficult to receive more when you fail to recognize what is already present. Many people overlook existing blessings because they are completely focused on what has not yet arrived. They ignore their talents, relationships, experiences, knowledge, and opportunities because they are measuring their lives against an imagined standard of completeness. Yet, appreciation often acts as a magnet for greater good. The more you recognize and value what you already possess, the more open you become to additional blessings. Think of a person standing in a room filled with light while complaining about darkness. Their focus prevents them from seeing what is already available. In the same way, a mindset centered on lack can blind a person to opportunities that are right in front of them. The declaration "I have" turns attention toward existing resources and possibilities. It encourages awareness of abundance instead of fixation on absence. There is also a powerful emotional component to receiving. People who feel deprived often operate from fear. They worry about losing what they have, missing opportunities, or never achieving their goals. Fear creates tension and resistance. A person caught in fear may hesitate to take action, avoid risks, or overlook promising opportunities. In contrast, a person who regularly declares "I have" develops a sense of trust and confidence. They feel supported rather than abandoned. They approach life with greater expectation and openness. This shift affects behavior in practical ways. Someone who believes they have value is more likely to share their talents. Someone who believes they have opportunities is more likely to recognize and pursue them. Someone who believes they have guidance is more likely to make decisions with confidence. The declaration itself begins influencing actions, and those actions often create new results. The principle can be observed in many areas of life. A person who says, "I have the ability to learn," approaches challenges differently than someone who says, "I am not smart enough." A person who declares, "I have the capacity to prosper," behaves differently than someone who constantly repeats, "I never have enough." The first mindset encourages growth, initiative, and expectation. The second reinforces limitation and hesitation. Receiving more does not begin with accumulating more possessions. It begins with cultivating a consciousness that recognizes and welcomes abundance. Every time you say "I have," you strengthen the awareness that good is already present and expanding. You train your mind to focus on supply rather than shortage, possibility rather than restriction, and gratitude rather than dissatisfaction. This awareness influences what you notice, what you expect, and what you allow yourself to embrace, creating an inner environment where greater opportunities, greater confidence, greater prosperity, and greater blessings can naturally find a place. Gratitude and faith are two of the most powerful forces available to the human mind, and both are strengthened through the simple declaration, "I have." These words create an awareness of possession rather than lack, and that awareness naturally gives birth to thankfulness. It is difficult to feel grateful while constantly focusing on what is missing. Gratitude grows when attention is directed toward what is already present, what is already working, and what has already been given. The phrase "I have" becomes a bridge connecting appreciation and belief. Many people believe gratitude should only come after receiving something significant. They wait until circumstances improve before they allow themselves to feel thankful. They think they will express appreciation once the promotion arrives, once the money appears, once the relationship improves, or once their goals are fully realized. Yet gratitude is not merely a response to visible blessings. It is also a recognition of existing blessings. It is an acknowledgement that good is already present, even if there is still more to come. When a person says, "I have strength," they are recognizing a gift that already exists within them. When they say, "I have wisdom," they acknowledge an inner resource available for guidance. When they say, "I have opportunities," they affirm that possibilities are surrounding them, even if every opportunity has not yet been revealed. These declarations encourage appreciation for what is currently available, rather than constant frustration over what seems absent. Gratitude changes perspective. It shifts attention away from limitations and redirects it toward resources. A person may not have everything they desire, but they likely possess far more than they realize. They have experiences that taught valuable lessons. They have abilities that can be developed. They have relationships that provide encouragement. They have ideas, talents, knowledge, and opportunities waiting to be explored. The declaration "I have" helps uncover these hidden treasures by drawing awareness toward them. As gratitude increases, faith becomes stronger. Faith is often described as confidence in what is not yet seen. It is the ability to trust in possibilities beyond present appearances. Gratitude supports this trust because it reminds the mind of existing evidence of good. When you recognize what you already have, it becomes easier to believe that additional blessings are possible. Appreciation creates an atmosphere where faith can grow naturally. A grateful person often approaches life differently than a person consumed by dissatisfaction. Gratitude creates openness. It encourages expectation rather than doubt. Instead of focusing on every obstacle, the grateful individual notices signs of progress. Instead of magnifying every problem, they become aware of solutions, resources, and opportunities. Their attention becomes trained to recognize good, and what you consistently recognize tends to become more prominent in your awareness. The words "I have" also reduce the tendency to compare yourself with others. Comparison often destroys gratitude because it shifts attention from personal blessings to someone else's achievements. A person who constantly compares may overlook their own progress, talents, and opportunities. The declaration "I have" brings attention back to personal abundance. It encourages recognition of what is uniquely present in your own life rather than fixation on what belongs to someone else. Faith grows stronger when it is supported by positive declarations. Every time you affirm, "I have guidance," "I have favor," "I have support," or "I have the ability to succeed," you reinforce confidence in unseen possibilities. These statements remind the mind that resources exist beyond immediate appearances. They encourage trust in future outcomes without becoming dependent on present circumstances. There is also a calming effect that comes from gratitude and faith working together. Worry often comes from focusing on what might go wrong or what is lacking. Gratitude redirects attention toward what is already right. Faith redirects attention toward what can still unfold. Together they create a balanced mindset that is neither trapped in fear nor dependent upon perfect conditions. The declaration, "I have," becomes more than a collection of words. It becomes a daily practice of recognizing blessings, appreciating resources, and strengthening confidence. It trains the mind to see abundance where it once saw scarcity, possibilities where it once saw obstacles, and support where it once saw uncertainty. Through consistent awareness of what is already present, gratitude deepens, and as gratitude deepens, faith gains greater strength, stability, and influence within every area of life. Every person is constantly shaping their future through the thoughts they entertain and the words they speak. While many people focus on external circumstances as the primary force determining their destiny, they often overlook the influence of their own declarations. The words that follow the phrase "I have" reveal what a person believes about themselves, what they expect from life, and what they are mentally preparing to experience. These declarations act like seeds planted in the fertile ground of the mind. Over time, those seeds grow into attitudes, behaviors, habits, and outcomes that influence the direction of the future. Many individuals unknowingly create limitations through their language. They repeatedly say, "I have bad luck," "I have too many problems," "I have no opportunities," or "I have nothing going for me." Even when spoken casually, these statements reinforce a particular identity. The mind begins accepting these descriptions as reality. Once a belief becomes established, it often influences perception. People start noticing evidence that confirms what they already believe, while overlooking information that contradicts it. This is why the phrase "I have" is so important. It is not merely a statement about the present moment. It is also a declaration that influences future expectations. When you say, "I have confidence," you begin strengthening an identity built around confidence. When you say, "I have creativity," you become more aware of creative ideas. When you say, "I have opportunities," your attention naturally becomes more alert to possibilities that might otherwise go unnoticed. The future is often shaped long before visible results appear. Success usually begins as a belief, before it becomes an achievement. Prosperity often begins as an expectation before it becomes a reality. Confidence starts as an internal decision before it becomes visible in actions. The declarations you make today contribute to the mental environment from which tomorrow's experiences emerge. Consider two people facing the same challenge. One says, "I have the ability to overcome this." The other says, "I have no chance." Although their circumstances may be identical, their internal responses are entirely different. The first individual is likely to search for solutions, remain persistent, and maintain hope. The second may become discouraged, stop trying, or fail to recognize opportunities for improvement. The difference begins with a declaration, and that declaration influences future behavior. The phrase, "I have," helps establish a positive self-image. Self-image is one of the strongest forces affecting human behavior, because people tend to act in harmony with what they believe about themselves. A person who believes they have value will often make different choices than someone who believes they lack worth. A person who believes they have potential is more likely to develop that potential than someone who constantly doubts their abilities. Your declarations gradually become part of your identity, and identity influences destiny. Many of the world's greatest achievements were preceded by individuals who claimed qualities before they fully saw evidence of them. They declared confidence before achieving success. They affirmed strength before overcoming obstacles. They recognized possibilities before circumstances confirmed them. Their words helped create a mental framework that supported future growth and accomplishment. The declaration, "I have," also encourages responsibility for personal growth. Instead of waiting for life to change first, it shifts focus toward internal transformation. When you say, "I have discipline," you begin acting in ways that strengthen discipline. When you say, "I have wisdom," you become more attentive to learning and understanding. When you say, "I have abundance," you start noticing resources, opportunities, and possibilities that support a prosperous mindset. Your future is influenced not only by major decisions, but also by the small statements repeated day after day. Repetition strengthens belief, and belief influences action. Actions repeated consistently create habits, and habits shape long-term results. The simple words following "I have" can set this entire process into motion. They determine whether attention is directed toward growth or limitation, possibility or doubt, confidence or fear. Every declaration becomes a vote for the person you are becoming. Each time you affirm positive qualities, you strengthen the image of a future aligned with those qualities. Each time you recognize abundance, opportunity, strength, wisdom, peace, and purpose, you reinforce expectations that influence how you think, how you act, and how you respond to life. The future gradually unfolds in harmony with the beliefs that have been nurtured and reinforced through consistent declarations of what you choose to claim as already present within your consciousness.